be recording this. All right. Well, Kendra, and those who will be joining later, just want to give you a quick introduction. My name is Terry Porter. I'm a life coach here in Traverse City, Michigan. And I love helping folks with relationship issues or leadership issues. A little bit about myself. I am going to share my screen here in just a second. Let me pull that up. There we go. All right. So today we're going to talk about avoiding burnout. And this is a topic that affects a lot of people. And probably this time of year, it affects quite a few of us. But before we get into the lesson, and I hope that you were able to get the outline I emailed earlier, but a bit about myself. I'm a husband and father. I have 3 children. Morgan is, actually today is Morgan's birthday. She turns 19 today. She is there in the pink sweater. Addison is, how old is Addison? She's 15. And then my son Aiden, he is 11. And my wife and I have been married for 23 years. That's my wife, Jen. I'm a life coach. I'm a former pastor, pastor with over 20 years experience. I've been life coaching for 4 years now. And I'm an avid mountain biker. Here in Traverse City, we have a large mountain biking community, and we have several mountain biking races. And I like to think of myself as a mountain biker instead of a guy that goes out mountain biking. It's part of my identity, and I enjoy getting out into the woods with a bunch of guys and getting after it. So, all right, enough about me. Let's get into our lesson. What is burnout? If you have your notes handy, burnout, according to Dr. John Townsend, is a state of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion, which continues even with the attempts to rest and relax. And in coaching, in mental health, I see this a lot with some of my clients, specifically professionals, many times moms, sometimes college students, where you're just go, go, go. You have your foot on the gas, and you might get some time to rest, but you never really get to a point where you recharge. And what is happening is when you get to this point of burnout, even things that bring joy to us, things that bring life to us, maybe it's exercise, maybe it's arts, maybe it's movies, maybe it's spending some time with some folks. Those things don't bring energy back to us. In fact, our endorphins start to shut down, and we actually start to have this lack of looking forward to those fun times of life. And that's when we really start to feel that burnout experience. Well, what causes burnout? Burnout is a ratio problem. Burnout is an issue with your responsibilities over your resources. So typically what we see is an individual who is suffering burnout in life, has too many responsibilities. Say you got 20 responsibilities, but you only have 3 resources, or 3 things that bring life to you. And the goal is to always be at 1. So in a math equation, if you have 20 responsibilities, then you want to have 20 resources. If you're putting out 20 things, if you're giving 20 things, then you want to pull back and get resources from 20 things. So what might that look like? What are resources? What are the things that bring life? Well, it could be something different for everybody, but it could be doing personal devotion time in God's word and prayer. But doing it in a way, it's not out of obligation, but you're doing it out of freedom, that you want to be doing this. It's having positive friendships that are mutual, where you can share the deep things of your life with them, and they also share the deep things of their life with you. And it's a vulnerable relationship. Recreation, having time in recreation, going for a run. That's something I would like to do, either running or biking or going to the gym. One of the things I enjoy doing is going to the gym almost every day, 5 days a week. Getting some time for sleep or rest. Having experts being part of your life. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And quite frankly, having enough finances to cover your bills. And having some surplus in that. No one likes to live paycheck to paycheck. Again, that kind of puts that stressor into us. So, well, what is the solution to burnout? Well, the solution is going to be either decreasing your responsibilities or increasing your resources. Jim Collins, who wrote the book Good to Great, states it this way: good is the enemy of the great. And many times we keep on saying yes, we keep on giving away yeses to good things, and we have to say no to great things because we're overextended in our life. So what we want to do is rearrange our life where we're saying yes to a few things and saying no to many things. In the Bible, there's an illustration in the book of Genesis where Moses was getting burned out, and his father-in-law Jethro had to pull him aside and said, buddy, you are getting burned out. You can't do all of this. You can't carry the burden of this million people that you're leading out of Egypt. And Jethro had to give Moses some really tough advice and said, you need to prune, you need to say no to some things, and you need to hire some individuals, you need to bring in some judges to help you and split the people up into groups so that you're not judging everybody, but instead you're judging a few so that you get back to that ratio of 1-to-1 of responsibilities and resources. All right. Well, what are some obstacles? What are some obstacles of burnout? And number one is vacation or sabbatical. And here's why I say vacation and sabbatical is an obstacle to getting out of burnout. Here's why. Typically, when I see pastors take a sabbatical or I see individuals taking a vacation, they never address the real issue on why they're being burned out in the first place. They just ignore it. And when we ignore problems, we never solve problems. So, the same thing is true in our physical health. I can say I'm going on a diet and never look at a scale and never go to the gym. And I really don't have good information or metrics to work on my weight, to work on the things that are necessary. So if we're going to solve problems of burnout, we have to address the problem of burnout. And going on vacation or taking a sabbatical doesn't do that. Instead, what we need to do is bring in some resources into our life during that vacation or sabbatical. One of the things I did a couple of years ago, in fact, it was the front end of the pandemic. I realized as I'm launching a business and I'm working with a lot of individuals and I'm trying to manage the stress of a pandemic and doing homeschool for my kids at the house, I realized I was going to need some more resources in my life. And so I was talking to God about this in my prayer life. I said, God, what do I do? And he spoke to my heart. He said, Terry, you need some more friends. You need some more real friends that you can be honest with. And so I reached out to a guy named Andy. He's a lawyer in town. He's a good Christian, and his dad's a pastor. And I reached out to him and asked if I could start meeting with him on a weekly basis just to talk about some things. Good afternoon. I see someone else is joining in with us. I don't see your name yet. Is that Mary? So Mary, just want you to, hi Mary. Just want you to know I'm recording this, so the first half of my presentation you won't miss, because I'll email you a link so you can watch the rest of it later, okay? But talking about vacation and sabbatical doesn't address the issue of burnout. What we have to do is we have to go out and find more resources for ourselves during that vacation or sabbatical. And one of the things I did was I reached out to my friend Andy and asked him if he'd be willing to meet with me on a bi-weekly basis, specifically during that vacation time as well, and just kind of process life with him. Just recently, because my coaching business has taken off, what I've done is I reached out to a group of counselors here in the Traverse City area, and the 6 of us meet on a monthly basis, and we just talk about life, our life. We talk about the stresses of our life. We talk about our counseling or coaching business. We talk about our families, and we talk about our personal life. And what I found is that brings down that burnout feeling in my life, and it helps me stay connected in a real way to other people. And I feel validated, I feel cared for, and they feel cared for and validated as well. Here's the second thing that is an obstacle to solving our burnout issue, and that is the belief in vertical only spirituality. And being from the church setting, I see this quite a bit. Vertical only is this belief that all I need is more Jesus in my life, or I just need to read my Bible more. And it sounds spiritual, but it really isn't. It's not spiritual. In fact, Jesus needed people in his life. He's walking on earth and he needed people in his life. He went out and he found apostles and he poured his life into those apostles. Bethlehem, thank you for joining us. I just want you to know that I am recording this, and I'll send you an email link to the part of the lesson that you missed.
Now, that concern was heightened yesterday evening when.
So just want you to know that vertical only is not true spirituality, because God uses people. Paul even said this. He actually came down on the Corinthians. He said, guys, I've poured my heart out to you, and you withhold your heart to me. And he shares with us in the book of Galatians and the book of Ephesians that we need to be open with others and share our life with others. James, who is a half brother of Jesus, says to confess your sins to each other and pray for each other. The prayers of a righteous person availeth much. So it's important that we don't have this vertical only. I just need God, or I just need to read the Bible more. We need people in our life as well to avoid burnout. Number 3, an over-reliance on willpower. This is similar to that vertical only aspect of I only need God. Well, the over-reliance on willpower says, I can do it. Well, if it is the best of your wisdom that gets you into burnout, your best wisdom is not going to get you out of being burnt out. And so you have to reach out and get the resources you need. Paul even says this in Romans chapter 6. He says, the very thing I want to do, I don't do. I keep on doing the things I don't want to do. Oh, what a wretched man I am. And he had to be vulnerable. He had to open up his life to others. That's what he's talking about in Corinthians, how he opened up his life to others. And that's what we need to do, is we need to invest in other people and allow other people to invest in me. So we got to use our vacation and sabbatical wisely. We got to get out of that vertical only spirituality, and we can't have an over-reliance on willpower. Here's the 4th area that we need to avoid, is the concern about letting others down. If you have a concern about letting others down, if you tell people no, that you can't do things, then that's called enabling. And enabling will kind of look like maybe you are afraid that you're going to disappoint somebody, or you fear that you might let them down, or you fear that if you tell someone no, a boss, a coworker, a parent, a board member, maybe your children, maybe someone within the congregation, maybe that rich person who helps you out, if you tell them no, that they're going to withhold love. Well, that's never a free relationship. It's never a healthy relationship to be a part of. And so we have to move out of being concerned about letting others down. I like what Rick Warren says. We're never really holding them up. They have to own their life, and you have to own your life. And so we have to learn to say this phrase, that doesn't work for me. When someone asks you to do things above and beyond, sometimes you have to just say, that doesn't work for me. I had a client some time ago. She realized that not only was she overextended in her relationships at work, she was also overextended in her responsibilities and relationships at church. So she was doing a lot of responsibilities at church, doing a lot of responsibilities outside of her job description at work. And I taught her this phrase. I said, listen, your homework this week is just to go out and tell people that doesn't work for me. Like, for instance, if your boss asks you to do something out of your job description, you just tell your boss, that doesn't work for me. When she came back to me the next week and she shared it with me, she goes, Terry, the funniest thing happened when I said that to my boss. He came into my office on Monday morning and asked me to do something outside of my job description. And I told him, that doesn't work for me. You'll have to find someone else to do it or do it yourself. And she said her boss just busted out in laughter because he realized he had been taking advantage of her, and he was actually proud of her for standing up to him and saying no. And now the phrase, that doesn't work for me, has become a joke in their office. And it's really become something comical because she's actually becoming healthy, and she's owning her life, and she's owning and having the power to say no. And now that burnout level is coming down, and she's starting to have the ability to really have joy and peace in life. Finally, what's the final obstacle? Well, that is the concern about asking for needs to be met. God created us to be incomplete, and we live in a broken world, and we live in an incomplete world. God said he created the things, and he said it was good, but he still created things incomplete. Adam needed Eve. If you go back to Genesis chapter 1, 2, and 3, Adam needed Eve. Adam needs God, and we do. We need each other, and we need a relationship with God. And so we have to go out and ask for the things that we need. Again, going back to that vertical only spirituality. If we play that out in real world settings, it's wintertime here in Traverse City. I might need new tires for my car, and I can just sit on my couch and pray for new tires to come. But that isn't how God works. He could work that way, but really, if I want new tires for my car, I have to get in my car. I got to drive to the auto parts store or to Junior's Tires here in town and ask for new tires on my car. I have to go out and get what I need. And that's the same thing about us. Sometimes we have to go to people like I did with Andy and say, Andy, I need real friendships so I can talk about the real things in my life, or with those counselors in town, and get the things I need for my life so that I don't have burnout. And what about you? As I share this lesson with you to avoid burnout, what are the things you really need in your life? Are you missing out on love? Do you have a lack of love in your life? Do you have a lack of forgiveness or celebration or acceptance or encouragement or comfort? What are the things that you're lacking in your life? It's your responsibility to go out and ask for the things you need from healthy individuals. Now, if you're not sure what that looks like, that's where coaching can come into play, and I would love to help you with that. But if you feel that this lesson is good, then please take it and use it and apply it to your life. So what's the application for today? Well, I want you to think through this. What resources must you increase this week, and what responsibilities must you start saying no to, so that you can get to the point of one, where you can get to the point where you have the same ratio of output to input, the same ratio of responsibilities to resources. And with that, that is the end of our lesson. I do want to ask you to think about starting a coaching engagement with me. I do marriage and relationship coaching. I also do one-on-one executive coaching. And I love working with organizations for their strategic planning. So if there is any questions, I would love to answer any questions you might have. Mary, I put you on mute. So if you had some questions, you can unmute your microphone there on the bottom of your screen on the right, on the left-hand side, but I was getting some feedback from your microphone. Or Kendra, maybe you have some questions for me as well.
I guess like you kind of gave examples of what resources were.
Yeah.
Are you able to give some examples about what responsibilities would look like?
Yes, a responsibility would be, for instance, I'll just share responsibilities I have as a dad, as a husband, and as a business person. So at the office, I have multiple responsibilities because I have clients I have coworkers here within the office that I have to manage. I have a kitchen here at the office that we want to keep clean, and so that's part of my responsibilities. There's all these little things that have to happen to make an office work well together. And then this time of year, there's snow plowing and snow shoveling. Then at the house, we have homework. As a dad, I get to help out with homework. There's things, household chores that have to happen. There are things that only I can do at the household. There are things that I don't have to do at the household, but still need to get done. And sometimes it's just easier for me to do them. Then as a husband, there's things I need to do to help my wife be the best that she can be. So it's all these little things that we have to do to make life work. And those are what I would call responsibilities. Does that kind of help answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes, for instance, one of the ways I balance my life, Kendra, would be I've taken a hard stand on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is my day off. So I rarely meet with clients on a Wednesday. So a client might call me up, a new client might call me up, hey, I need help. I rarely put any client on a Wednesday. There's always a few exceptions, like that week between that week of Thanksgiving, because I couldn't see any clients on Thursday and Friday. So then the following Wednesday, I did see some clients because I had to put them in. I have some clients I got to see every week. So
Sure.
on that week, I broke that rule, but that's the exception. I hardly ever violate that. Another one is Fridays, I leave the office at 3 o'clock and I meet Andy over at, you're probably familiar because you're here in town. I meet Andy over at Agave on Garfield, and we talk about life, and we have some tacos and some chips and salsa, and we celebrate the work week behind us. And we also look ahead and say, okay, how can we help each other out? And it's really a great time. So I say no to some responsibilities so I can say yes to things. I also take a 1 to 2 hour break in the middle of my workday, and I go to the YMCA and I work out, and I sit in the sauna, or I go for a swim. I kind of burn some calories and burn some stress out. But I have to say no to some responsibilities so I can say yes to some recreation. And that really brings that stress level down.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. What other questions do you guys have? Mary, any questions? All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send me an email, reach out to me. I am on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on email. You can even text me. I don't care. But I'm here to help you guys out. And if you are interested in a coaching engagement, please reach out and we can talk about that. Just to let you know, all potential clients, your first session is always free. Mary, I see you took your microphone off. So did you have any questions for me, Mary?
The traveller community has called for action over the mental health crisis many of its members are enduring. In 2017, a behaviour and attitude study showed that 82% of travellers had been affected by suicide. A protest to mark International Human Rights Day was held outside Leinster House, where a letter was delivered to the Taoiseach calling on him to prioritise the issue.
This is not a scene of the outside Leinster House.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you want a copy of the video, please let me know and I will send that to you.
Thanks, Terry.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That of the wider community, it seems to be getting an awful lot worse.